So I'm here at Amtrak station in Kingston, Rhode Island. Getting ready to take the train up to Boston. And I guess I hop on a bus and ride up to see my dad tonight so I can get on the Tug Magathy that's coming into Portland tomorrow. Oddly enough, the day before 4th of July, the oncoming captain had a family emergency. Certainly wish him luck. Amazing how nobody ever has family emergencies when holidays aren't involved. Anyway, going into work another week. So, off to Boston I went. Amtrak's awful nice this time of year. Wasn't too loaded. People. Scenery was nice. When we got up to South Station, you see all kinds of weird things. I didn't have any idea that Amish people rode the bus. Maybe they ride the train, but didn't see any of them on my train. Anyway, this is my bus. It's all dark when I was there. Then you back out into the light, and before you know it, you're up in Falmouth, Maine with your dad. Dad and I had dinner, and we walked down, looked at beautiful Falmouth Harbor. Look at this beautiful. Thinking about how maybe if everything, the sun and the moon line up right, maybe one day my boat will be out there. But until then, I had to grab the Magathy and run up the Hudson River up to Albany with a load of avgas. And then from there, we went down to Norfolk, Virginia, where I ultimately got off the boat. And this is me coming down through the galley into the Fiddly. Got to grab my bags. This is what we call an on-the-fly crew change. They send out a launch boat, and it comes out and picks us up while we're towing the barge. Here's Bobby, one of Vane's greatest able-bodied seamen. Been a waterman all his life. He's awesome. Everybody loves Bobby.
Come on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Steve. All right, man. Thank you. Everything's good. You got fresh fuel, fresh water. You got to spin around here. Huh? You got to turn around. I was going to turn around, but it fucked you up coming on. Awesome.
And then I got a ride to Norfolk Airport, where I rode a flight up to Philadelphia, where I spent the night. Then the next day, I went to New York and met my crew, got on my boat. We worked there for a week together. Then it was time for our 5-year inspection to get our boat hauled out at the Shipyard in Kingston, New York. Now the funny thing about Kingston is that our mast on our tug is too high to get under the bridges in Kingston. So we have to come over here and have this crane barge over here help us lower our mast. To do actually a whole day of work. They finally got the mast down. We were able to get into the bridge and just made it with feet to spare. Now we are off of one of the tributaries to the Hudson River, and it's very shallow there. It's probably, you can see all the pleasure boats are fine, but even with all of our fuel pumped off and everything as light as we can get the boat. We're still drawing almost 10 feet, so we had to wait for the crane barge to go, and then we went behind it, and he knows all the local bumps and where to go slow and that sort of thing. So we just followed in behind them and used him as like our pilot boat. Right now you can see him lifting up a spud. A spud are these long poles, how they anchor their barges. They'll lift up this pole and they drive it into the mud, and the barge stays where, they put one down, and then they'll lift up another one and put the other corner down, and it stays right where it needs to be. And as the tide goes up and down, the poles stay in the position, and everything works great. But it was time for us to go over to the fuel dock and get rid of the remaining 18,000 gallons or so of fuel that we had left in our tanks. So we tied up over here. A few days later, it was time to get on the dry dock. First thing they do is they pull the dry dock off of the bank so that they can get it in deeper water. They have to do this and they get it in position. You'll see they pull out one side, spud one of the spuds down, and then they'll pull out the other side and get the other spud down. It's kind of a neat thing. They don't use any pumps to do this, or water pumps anyway. This whole dry dock is floating, and once they get it ready to go, they open up valves and let air out, and the water displaces the air. And obviously this is sped up. This happens over almost the course of an hour. But the dry dock will sink down, and then the boat, little tugboat, pushes us into position. And then they pump air back in, and it lifts us out of the water. Unfortunately, I had a time lapse going of the whole sequence of us coming out of water, but the file got corrupted. So I don't know what happened. Maybe the Russians were involved. Who knows? Anyway, this is taking a look at the thing. I'd like to inspect the propellers to see how it is. It's odd that the only real minor damage we had on the propellers was on the trailing edge of the propellers. So it was people backing into things, not running ahead into them. But you can see we have 4 good-looking blades. Say this is our 5-year. The boat's only 10 years old. We had been in the Delaware River working for a while, so luckily there wasn't a lot of saltwater growth. You'll see the barnacles that are on here are a result of being in New York Harbor. And as bad as they look, it's kind of a testimony to how New York Harbor is coming back to life. Enough so that barnacles would grow on the boat. I've heard from other people that years ago it was so polluted nothing would grow on your boat. But anyway, these are the coolers. The top one is the main engine cooler for this side of the boat, and the same thing's on the other side. Then there's the gear oil coolers, and then the generator coolers. And what I'm looking for here is damage. We can't see these coolers when they're in the water, and when we work with ice, the ice gets in there and messes them up, and those coolers they're kind of a big deal. And you can see these right here are the zincs. I was pointing to the zincs there. I like to see how the zincs are doing. We're actually taking the zincs off on this time in the shipyard and replacing them with aluminum, which I guess is a different way of handling galvanic isolation. And so there's a patch they had put on before. You can see there's just a few zincs left on the old ones over there. I'm pointing out all the different things that I saw that had me concerned. But all in all, the boat looks phenomenally good for being in for a 10-year-old boat and being on her 5th year, 5-year ABS inspection. So really happy. And just like that, my hitch was up. It was time for me to go home. So back to New York City I went. Work my way to Penn Station to grab a train and make my way back to Little Rhodey. I had to do was find my daughter. I had called her and she was going to pick me up. I even gave her a call to let her know that what time I'd be there and remind her. And of course I got there, and of course she wasn't there. But that's another story for another time. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.